America has a problem. Now, when I say that, I'm sure there are several things that come to mind. Maybe it's a social issue, maybe it's our political division, maybe it's fentanyl. And while all those are huge problems, I'm referring to one that, while it gets a lot of attention, people don't treat it as the severe issue it is. I'm, of course, referring to underage tobacco use, or specifically, underage vaping. Now, I'm sure everyone is aware of this problem. You've seen vaping PSAs on television, or you've read stories of children buying these things and using them in school. But I assure you that this problem is much worse and goes much deeper than you would believe. This problem goes all the way back to the early 1900s with the cigarette companies and is a pattern that we just continue to see in this country's history. This is the underage vaping problem. So, before I begin to lay blame at people's feet and truly dig into this, I first need to establish some facts. According to a study by the Federal Trade Commission in 2022, the top five tobacco companies in the United States spent $8.01 billion on marketing. That equates to around $22 million a day. 86% of that was spent on giving discounts to make cigarettes and other tobacco products cheaper. You could see this in your everyday life. I mean, go by any gas station, grocery store, vape shop. You'll see a million posters outside advertising discounts on buying in bulk and on, vape pods and the new kid on the block, nicotine pouches. I know what some of you will be thinking. Okay, but what does this have to do with children? I mean, obviously, these advertisements are meant for adults, and children shouldn't be looking at these anyway. And I understand what you're coming from. Let's take a look at that, though. It has been shown that children are more malleable and respond much better to advertisements. In a paper published by the American Academy of Pediatrics, it is written that, quote, youth exposure to alcohol advertisement also delivers unhealthy consequences. Alcohol advertising increases the likelihood that adolescents will start to use alcohol and increases consumption among adolescents who already drink alcohol. This is particularly concerning because early alcohol use increases the risk of future dependence. End quote. This doesn't stop at alcohol, though. The paper goes on in the very next paragraph to say, quote, although tobacco marketing has been banned from television for more than 40 years, youth exposure to television advertising for electronic cigarettes, e-cigarettes, doubled from 2011 to 2013. Contrary to the suggested positive aspects discussed by the manufacturers, research shows that e-cigarette use does not prevent and may increase conventional cigarette use among adolescents. End quote. In case you aren't convinced yet, a study in 2018 found that the top three brands of tobacco among 72.1% of student smokers were the top three most advertised brands. I think that is a very concerning correlation, and we can't just ignore that. It is very obvious that these advertisements are reaching the children of this country. And honestly, I think it's now time that I get down to the numbers for the students themselves, because this is truly concerning and it's honestly staggering. The CDC published that in a 2024 study, it was found that 5.9% of students currently used e-cigarettes. That equates to roughly 1.63 million students, and of those, 410,000 were middle school students. Let that sink in. The age of most middle school students is 11 to 13 years old. Kids are getting hooked on tobacco, on nicotine, at 11 years old. This is insane. These kids, they can't drive, they can't vote, they're not even playing high school football yet a lot of them are habitual smokers already. And you want another staggering statistic? How about that more than 1 in 3 of these student users are dual users, meaning they use more than one form of tobacco? This is scary. It has been very well established that the effect tobacco has on health and the effects are exacerbated when these kids are starting so young. It is frying their dopamine receptors, which that's a video all on its own, how we are just killing the dopamine receptors and the brain chemistry of kids in this country these days. But this is there's so much more statistics I could go over here, but this is where I'm going to stop this because this could go on for hours. Now I want to get to the part of how easy it is to get into a vape shop and to buy vapes. Now, this is very anecdotal, and I do apologize that this isn't going to be a true, research based evidence, but this is my own personal experience. One of my cousins got started vaping when he was 15, and there were 3 or 4 vape shops around here in the city I live in, which is not very big, mind you. It's a very small city in North Carolina, where he could just walk in, and as long as he was paying cash, these people, they would not ask for his ID. He has been hooked on e-cigarettes since he was in high school. And it doesn't stop. I walked into a vape shop one time and there was a girl in there who's like 12 years old, and she's not just buying a vape, she's buying a bong. Yeah, crazy stuff going on with these smoke shops, and our politicians just refuse to regulate this stuff, which again, I'm going to leave that. I'm not going to get into a rant. The next section of this video, I'm going to get into what can we do? How do we stop this? I believe that the best way we can stop this is for people to just be better parents. I mean, and that sounds like a very simple, very vague solution, but it's just the truth. Don't let your kids smoke. I mean, good God, it is very sad that we have to say that. Please watch your children. And honestly, more law enforcement attention needs to be put on these smoke shops. We need to crack down on the selling to minors somehow. And also, another thing we could do, which would eliminate a lot of problems in this country, is to ban lobbying. That is a whole video in and of itself. I will probably at some point make a video on lobbying because that is something that has to go. It is killing this country. You got these companies that are donating billions, millions of dollars to politicians, and these politicians are going to vote in their interest. It's disgusting. And so we just really need to get rid of lobbying in this country. That's where I'm going to end this video. I know this was a bit of a shorter one, but I really just wanted to talk about this, to put out some facts, and maybe this can help spring some people into action on this. Be on the lookout for more content like this on the channel. I want to make one about drugs, fentanyl, and some of the new opiates. I want to just make more documentary style content. So this is where I'm going to cut this one.